there's a pretty active debate at a sort of very abstract level in the 1980s about whether marriage was worth fighting for. There was, again, no organization that had endorsed this or even thought about it. There's not an active court case anywhere in the United States, but there was sort of lawyers, legal theorists, academics who were arguing, is marriage worth fighting for? And some of this was a strategic debate. We have other priorities as a movement that are sort of more incremental, accessible gains, having non-discrimination, equal protection language written into local or state statutes, getting sexual orientation covered under hate crimes laws, funding for recognition for HIV/AIDS, right? A whole bundle of things, fighting back to opponents who are trying to ban gays and lesbians from being school teachers. So there's some people who are just like, we have real things in front of us that we can actually win. Why are we doing this big reach that's going to potentially antagonize people? But there was also sort of ideological debate. And, in the wake of Stonewall, what sort of the flowering of the gay liberation movement was informed in large part by a sense that gays and lesbians were asserting their own sexual values and mores that were apart from, if not in opposition to, sort of mainstream, heteronormative American society. And so there were a lot of gays and lesbians who said, why would we aspire to be part of the kind of middle class, white picket fence relationships of our parents? The whole point of developing our own community is to break free of that and define relationships on our own fresh terms. And then you had another critique that was, distinct from that, mostly articulated by women. To the extent there was LGBT family law in the 1980s, it was female lawyers representing female clients who were almost always women who had been in heterosexual marriages, had a child, come out, left their husband, and then had to go to court to fight for the right to their own children. And the lawyers who represented these clients were, people who had gone to college and law school in the 60s, 70s, been shaped by sort of second wave feminist thinking about marriage. And they saw it as this, fundamentally patriarchal institution that existed to, subjugate women. And from their perspective, they were thinking as much as feminists as they were as lesbians. And it's, why would we as women be fighting for inclusion in this institution that's counter to our goals? And they said that the goal of the gay rights movement should be, often they talked about multiple families, a legal regime where a broad spectrum of relationships are treated equally under the law, single parent households, co-parent adoption, unmarried couples, multi-member households, whatever, but not have marriage as kind of treated as the only way that people can register their interdependence with the state, right? And so that was an active sort of theoretical debate in the 1980s.